Welcome to the Haven Collective. I'm JR, and this is the Beacon Bit. Today we're finishing the book of Revelation, and so I thought it would be good for us to review what we've been doing in this whole series. We started out by talking about how challenging it can be to live in the way of Jesus in this world around us. How because we've been in such a long season of cultural fear, cultural change, and anxiety, we've been tempted to bunch together and to kind of hunch over in a spirit of protectiveness. How it makes us small, how it makes us tend to stay with people who are like us rather than venture out and risk and be different and be vulnerable, be generous. And yet, the resurrection was God's promise to us that a new world is coming into being, that there is a new way to be human, a way to be open and loving and generous and live these big, bold, and beautiful lives, even while we're in the midst of a culture that programs us to live against that. And so we entered into the book of Revelation because the Revelation is a guide to what it looks like to live faithfully in a faithless culture. It's addressed to 7 churches in the Roman province of Asia, which is modern-day Turkey. They were facing tremendous amounts of persecution, both overt persecution and then just cultural pressure to conform to the way of the Roman Empire, to submit to oppression and injustice, to shrink down and live those small, hunched and bunched lives. Throughout this series, we've been seeing different ways that the Revelation challenges us not to conform to the way of the world around us, whether that's to embrace lamb power, weakness, rather than the lion power of conquest and being stronger than other people, whether it's things like continuing to champion genuine diversity and inclusion in a world that has decided those things are wicked. Whether it's things like insisting on being open and vulnerable, hospitable and welcoming instead of putting up walls. Again and again and again, we've seen these different ways to live boldly, to live generously. And we've acknowledged that that doesn't come without risk. In fact, it often exposes us to more risk because we're living so counterculturally. And that's why we need the promise of resurrection. Jesus never promises the churches in Revelation that they'll escape persecution. In fact, what he promises them several times is that they will escape the second death. Never says anything about the first death. And we know, actually, for a fact, that one of the members of one of the churches was martyred for his faith. So Jesus never promises that following him is some kind of get-rich-quick or stay-safe scheme. We shouldn't expect that anyway, because Jesus is, remember, the always slaughtered lamb, right? The crucified one. No, what he promises us is that God has the final word. And that's what we see here at the end of Revelation, as John is going again and again, lauding who God is, who Jesus is, and what it means to follow him. So as we come to the end of this series, which we've been calling Heaven is a Place on Earth, I want to take some time in our beacons today to really review how we've been comforted over this series, how we've been encouraged by this series, and maybe where we've been challenged, where we've seen the Spirit nudging us to live more boldly, maybe to risk more openly and to be more vulnerable, right? What does it look like for us as individuals and as a church collective to live faithfully together? I cannot wait for this conversation with you. As you know, I've just really loved this series, and I look forward to hearing how it's challenging us as we move into the summer months. Until then, grace and peace be with you.